I'm Miles Harvey, and this is from an essay called 17-Year Itch. "Look, Daddy, look here," my 9-year-old yelled, and when I turned, she was... let me start again. "Look, Daddy, look here," my 9-year-old yelled, and when I turned, she was crouching on the sidewalk, painting to a pair of insects, their abdomens interlocked, their tiny flame colors aglow with what I could only presume was pleasure. "Daddy, look, they're fighting," she exclaimed, and I said they weren't fighting, and she asked what they were doing, and I said they weren't fighting. Here it comes, I thought, that discussion I had been hoping my wife would get to handle. But no, the girl let the matter drop, perhaps because she was having so much fun flicking her forefinger at the two-headed monster, or perhaps because she found it impossible to converse amid the roar coming at us from all directions. A roar that I would later learn measured upwards of 90 decibels, as loud as a bus or a bulldozer, only it didn't sound like a bus or a bulldozer, but a waste disposal of a kitchen sink. If, that is, you happen to leave a spoon in the drain and then you happen to amplify the whole thing through a massive stack of arena rock speakers. This was June of 2007, and I had returned to Downers Grove, the western suburb of Chicago, where I grew up with my elderly mother, This was June of 2007, and I had returned to Downers Grove, the western suburb of Chicago, where I grew up and where my elderly mother still lives, so that my 2 young children might experience the miracle of the 17-year cicadas. Yes, miracle, an object of wonder, a marvel, an event beyond rational comprehension. For what could be more miraculous than to find the familiar streets of your quiet hometown utterly transformed, the sky black, the groomed lawns convulsing, the trees swarming with 17-year cicadas in heat, or whatever it is 17-year cicadas are in when they emerge from their long adolescence beneath the soil, shed their skin, pair off, plant eggs, and die. I read somewhere that the population density of that particular brood has been estimated as high as 1.5 million per acre, meaning, if my own rough calculations are correct, that we squashed upwards of 27 insects with each new step. There was no stretch of sidewalk or soil not pulsing with insects in flagrante delicto, no branch, no leaf not littered with abandoned bug husks. The spectacle was as overwhelming to our eyes as the howl was to our ears. And then, just when it seemed as if they were absolutely everywhere, we came to a place where they were even more everywhere than everywhere else. I think I'll stop there.
Okay. Thanks so much. I just wondered if you could maybe talk a little bit about what it was like to grow up, with nature in the suburbs versus now with your family in the city. That's...
I think nature is there. And I think it's there whether you're in the suburbs or in the city. I think one of the problems is we've let a certain group of nature writers define nature. So I was a book critic for Outside magazine for a long time. And a lot of those writers I love, Barry Lopez and Terry Tempest Williams and William Kittredge, and some of those guys. But I think there's this very Thoreauvian idea of wilderness and wildness and nature being apart from human beings. And I've always been interested in how nature sort of like interacts with human beings in whatever setting there is. And so I don't know if the suburbs were wildly different than the city, because I think partly in the city you have these big parks you can get to, and in the suburbs sometimes there's just sprawl. Or you feel like there's just sprawl. Yeah. And I think one great thing about being a father is that the world has its way of forcing itself upon you in that way. So, the 17-year cicada is a pretty dramatic event for anyone, and I think that can return us to nature. But just seeing my kids respond to this amazing, wild thing, and also just for me, part of this essay is about my elderly mother and about my own middle age, and I think a lot of it's about time and like how the 17-year cicada mark a different kind of time. And I think that being a parent does tend to make you think about such things. And just, the way that kids, in Mark Smith's poem, there was this sense of being a kid and being down with your hands on the world and your nose up to the world. And I love that. I mean, I think that's how we rediscover nature often. It's just when we're forced to do that, and kids are doing that all the time. This little incident I described where, these two bugs are doinking, and there's my daughter just totally into it, just like, and at first my reaction was like, oh, well, no, they're not fighting. But then it was just like, this is awesome, She's just watching this thing, and she's just amazed by it, and it got me amazed by it too.